Yo, can I get in on this? I want another one, two. One, two. Oh, you thought it was through. This was just one assignment, boo. Judge checking with God, getting next instructions. You need an advocate, reach out, he might be coming.
This young black king needs no introduction. When he shows up, haters hate seeing him coming.
And no, he's not Malcolm, he's not Martin either. He got his own style.
Ja-da-da-ya, we see ya. This crew, they not looking for the credit. Advocates on the move. This crew, shifting the atmosphere. Advocates on the move.
And when he comes through, you know they coming too. Hey yo, INA, where you at? What it do? They got receipts, they got them files. They gon' investigate an advocate, holding it down.
And when it comes to intel, you know they showing out. You're smiling in Jed's face.
Hold up, check that file. Don't run up on them either, they always in the crowd. INA got his back, you don't know when they around.
This crew, they not looking for the credit. Advocates on the move. This crew, shifting the atmosphere. Advocates on the move.
And then there's Jed's mother, you know she gon' speak. She praying for the people, prophesying what she see.
Jed, God got you covered, he's holding you down. He's showing you his favor, his mercy, his power.
So always stay humble, give God your best. Remember you're a man, ain't no S on your chest. You know where help comes from when you're up or you're down. That crew runs deep, keep the real ones around.
This crew, they not looking for the credit. Advocates on the move. This crew, shifting the atmosphere. Advocates on the move.
Yeah. That crew runs deep, keep the real ones around. Keep the real ones around. INA runs deep, keep the real ones around. Keep the real ones around. The real ones around. INA runs deep, keep the real ones around.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Oh, this one is already on. Oh, give me 1 second, Charles. Okay, hello, everybody. How you doing? My name is Jedediah, and I am the host of Investigate and Advocate, where injustice finds no rest, and I'm also the proud commander for the culture. As I have been doing lately, I'm broadcasting from two very different devices. One of them hosts YouTube, which is directly in front of me, and the other is Facebook, which is a little bit more away and give more of a wider view. You guys are in my face, and y'all can kind of sort of see a little bit more of my environment. I want to thank both of you all for being on, as I'm going to try my best to kind of sort of pay attention to both screens. If you all can do me a favor for me to help me out over here on YouTube, over here on Facebook, could you guys tell me if you can hear me? Because I want to make sure that the 31 people who are on there so far are able to hear me clearly. And those of you all that are on here on YouTube, the 68 of you that are over here now, that you can see and hear me clearly. I do believe that these videos will at least get to 1,000 people. So in order for that to happen, I would humbly ask that you all will like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications on YouTube, and that you all over there on Facebook would share this in spaces so that people could get the notification that I'm on. I'm shadow banned in Facebook because of years of advocacy. So sometimes you have to kind of let people know that you are on. I want to say a couple of things, housekeeping, before I get into it. The first thing that I want to say is over on Facebook, I tagged several individuals, and I plan on tagging more. I tagged 46 people, and all 46 people who are tagged over on Facebook. I want to tell you that while I've been pondering the broadcast that I'm getting ready to do, or things that I've been thinking over these last few days, all of you all at some point or another came into my mind. Is one of you all who I tagged you on mistake. So if I never met you in person and you are tagged, you might be that one person. But everyone else that I tagged was intentional. I thought about you. I pondered about my interaction with you, my perspective of you, my experience, my hope for you. I thought about all of that. And I tagged you specifically in hopes that you will take a moment to hear me out. And as I said, there's going to be more people who I will tag after this live broadcast. The next thing is I'm going to talk in a response to the funeral services of the Reverend, now late Reverend Jessie Jackson Sr. But I'm also going to try to parallel it with my own experience as in life. That is how Leos talk. We don't know how not to be in the story or think about things in the context of our experience, perspective, and hope. But then the next thing, or the third component of this, is I'm hoping that I will speak to the larger experience of being a Black man and woman in America, and as our collective community, our plot of life. And so thank you all for bearing with me, as I am not the best orator, but I do believe that on some level I am gifted to have a voice. Now, I watched. I've watched all of the services that I could watch. The one that was for the public held at the House of Hope on Saturday. On Friday, I was not able to be there in person. As you all should know, I am a lifelong Chicagoan, born and bred, still have connection, significant connection, and even unbeknownst to some and maybe news to others, I still hold some level of residence in the city of Chicago, not often talked about intentionally. Chicago is what made me, and it's a part of my identity. I love my city, and I know for a fact that Chicago is one of the best cities in America, very underrated, very misunderstood. And one thing will hold true: if you can make it in Chicago, you can make it anywhere. And in Chicago, what I've been able to do my entire life is different. And there are people who are doing advocacy in other places around the country, but they'll never be able to do it with the platform like Chicago gives, because it's just set up different. Um, so I'm grateful as a Chicagoan. I want to say that I love my city, even though sometimes, and a real Chicagoan can get away with saying this, Chicago gets on my nerves. But Chicago is in my heart and is etched in my identity, and I'm damn proud to claim it. So let's talk about the service. And again, please bear with me, because I don't know if I don't know that there's just so much going on with me right now. Before I get to the details, I want to say something that I hope I can segue and make this make sense. For a long time, all of my life that I can think of, whenever I've listened to the language of Iran, It was always about how you don't want to mess with them. Because Iran, with their capabilities, would obliterate whatever enemy, foreign or domestic, that they would have. I've always kind of sort of felt this uncertainty about what Iran would do or what they were capable of doing because they were always signifying and signaling that being an enemy to them would be the worst decision anyone could make. And I live in the present time. I find myself perplexed, be it that I am not saying in support or nor opposition to the war. Let me be specific. One thing that I am perplexed about, and I underestimate nobody, and I remain prayerful that no matter what happens, God got us covered. But one of the things that I remain perplexed about is how the American military, seemingly from their airports to their aircraft carriers to their Navy ships to their military bases to their bunkers, it seems that America has rigorously, intently, and intentionally obliterated a lot of their visible militaristic operation. And to this very moment, there has not been a response. Not saying that it cannot or would not, and I'm not underestimating. Let me just be clear. There has not been a response from them that makes me say, dang, they meant what they said. Right now, I feel like they did a whole lot of talking. They made themselves big, but I don't feel its effect. How do I make that make sense? One of the things that I have enjoyed my entire life is experiencing the pride. Somebody said they responded. Did I see this morning? No, I haven't seen it. I don't know. I'm just giving you my perspective, and it may be limited, but let me try to be focused. One of the things that I've enjoyed my entire life is the pride and the joy of when Black people are proud of Black spaces. It's like no other experience that I've ever experienced in life, short of the one that is the greatest, and that is experiencing what I would believe to be the presence of God. To see what happens, to feel what is birthed, and to encounter what is created. When Black people are proud of Black people or proud of Black spaces, I can't even articulate how it makes me feel. But as I look at this service and I mirror it to what's going on across social media platforms, my heart is grieved and I find myself heavy because as we debate this man's legacy from our personal experience, I'm concerned that if our community was intentionally, orchestratedly attacked, that all of the things that we declare about how we're not going back, about how Black is beautiful, about how Black is powerful, about how Black is superior in many ways, I'm not sure that our response would match up to the level of our rhetoric. And I don't desire to be delusional. I desire to be intentional. But above all, I desire to be honest. And I understand that honest is not popular and honest is not what this world and this day prefers. One of the chilling things is I got a lot of conflicting emotion in this experience. One of the chilling things that I was reminded of that came right out of the mouth of Jesse Jackson Jr., I believe within the last 24 hours, is he talked about how Dr. Martin Luther King, which is clearly one of the most celebrated men of color of our day that in his day when he was alive was widely unpopular, even by his own. Jesus, help me. I'm trying my best. I got a lot to say and I don't want to be long, but I got to get this out. And if nobody is watching it, at least I said it and hopefully I'll be free. But right now it's over 100 people over here. I got the same 31 over there. I don't even know if the post over there is public, but please bear with me, y'all, if you can. In that moment, I had to measure it up to what the Bible says, that woe unto a man if everyone speaks well of you. As far as I'm concerned, that funeral was not about or for Jesse Jackson Sr. That funeral was about us. It was about putting a message out for us as we honor the legacy of the man. I was shocked to see people make banter about the amount of services. I was shocked to see people be upset about the fact that it seemed to go on for weeks at a time. I was hurt to see people make jokes about the fact that a corpse traveled from one city, one state, one county to the next, and essentially even back. I looked at that moment and I said to myself, there is nothing more honorable than men carrying the dead weight, no pun intended, of an icon from one city, county, state to the next, and not complain about carrying it, but us not even knowing the significance of this moment that we may not get again. We sitting up there optically worried about him finally getting rest. Let's make it clear. To be absent from the body is to be present with God. Jesse has already had, or he is already in the process of his rest being determined. That was for us. Jesus. I'm sitting up here looking at us pontificate about that when I've spent a lot of my time as an advocate watching people in our community have to put up GoFundMes when one of our loved ones transition, and one of the most heartbreaking experiences that I've ever experienced in my life is that when there's a body unclaimed or there's a person without the resources, they get a state funeral, they get put in a box. Sometimes they get burned, sometimes they get put in a state-owned or government-owned cemetery. And whatever they did in their life and whatever their life measured up to is not often properly captured because they could not be carried. So we better be careful while we are worrying about how many services and how long he's been transferred, if we'll ever even be considered when our moment and our time comes. One of my favorite speeches was delivered by the Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Al Sharpton shocked me. And the reason why he shocked me is because he made the weight of it all sit on my shoulders. When he uttered out of his mouth, and I may not properly quote it, but Reverend Al Sharpton eloquently made the case. And he said, who's going to tell us to keep hope alive? Who's going to tell us that we are somebody? He said, but right now we got our rappers calling our women bitches. And the weight of those words sat on my shoulders like a weight. And I looked up in that moment and I said, Lord, deliver me. God, deliver me. Because I'm not a rapper that I know of. but I am an advocate, and I have called women bitches. Two things coming out of that. In the moment of saying, God, deliver me, it is something that I asked genuinely from my heart, because what I was saying in that moment is that, God, I don't want to mishandle the moment that you have afforded me as one of the advocating voices of our day, no matter who like it and who don't. I have a voice and it is heard. And that funeral was literally a call to come home. And I said in that moment, when I looked up, God, deliver me. I want to be remorseful, but I won't lie if I'm not. I want to be better. But it took me to see men. It took me to see that moment. It took me to understand the significance of it for it to have an impact. One of the biggest things that we have done as a disservice is we have stopped assembling ourselves and coming together. I am a man who tell you fully that the rug has been pulled out from under my feet. And sometimes I find myself trying to find my footing, because the things that anchored and prepared me are not the things that sustain me today. And I'm not the only one. We may not have the money to go to college and get the education. We may not have the places that we feel good about and trust to come together for the sake of community. But we're not even the people that we used to be, what we regarded our religious institutions. Where do we come together to be challenged, to learn, to hear, so that we know what to ask? We just living. We just living. Oh, I love God. But let's be honest. We love our opinion of him and not our seek after him. And we're not the same. And I sat there in that moment and I said, God, deliver me, because I want to be the best version of whatever you call me to be. But let me be honest, right now, I'm scared, because if I get in the middle of a battle with a woman that I don't think deserves my honor, I feel that I may have an unfortunate propensity to say something out of my mouth that don't reflect the heartbeat of what I desire for the women, especially not those of my own community. As I look at the fact that Tiffany Henyard, a woman that I have called that name, that I stood up to for the sake of a community, and that I fought with every bone and fiber of my body, as I look at it today, and she is preparing to run for an elected seat in the state of Georgia, I'm sitting up and saying, what did we accomplish? What did I do? What was I a part of? What has happened to us? And that is the words that Reverend Al Sharpton spoke, that reverberated down the spine of my body, that have challenged me. And I thank God for it. And then I had to come up with another thought. I don't even like Reverend Al Sharpton. Personally, I don't like him. But I was in a conversation with somebody, and I said, but why don't I like Reverend Al Sharpton? He ain't done nothing to me. Why don't I like this man? I'm not a follower. I'm a leader. I'm an advocate. I do research. I know a little bit about that. Why don't I like Reverend Al Sharpton? I got his number in my phone. I got Dominique's number, his daughter, in my phone. I met him doing things in the city of Chicago. Why don't I like Reverend Al Sharpton? And then I had to deal with a hard truth. And I'm speaking about this in the context of me, because maybe you would think about it in the context of you. One of the greatest gifts that the Bible gave me was to consider yourself. I'm not talking about myself or making it about me. I'm reflecting at this from my own well, hoping that somebody listening will be able to draw, because y'all, I'm not okay right now. I'm not okay, because let me finish the initial thought. If they sought to put us back into a slave state, do we love each other enough to be able to come together about it, not because of an emotional response, because change is not a reaction. Change is systematic. if they sought to if we so busy talking about, and I'm gonna try to go back to the other point if I can remember, but we so busy talking about white people are afraid because they see the trend of their population going down, and by 2056 we believe that it's going to be minority or white people because the amount of race babies that are coming and this, that, and the third. But let me ask you a question. Do we think that by 2056, because of the systematic changes that we have applied and pressed for, that we're going to be in a place where we're literally seeing equality, or are we still going to be subjugated as we are in every damn place that we simply seem to be in? I am not a person that's trying to throw any darts, but I want to be clear here. A president flew from South Africa, gave one of the most amazing and beautiful speeches. I've never heard this man speak. I felt pride. I felt joy. I felt significance. I felt like he was and I was somebody. But I had a question that came to my mind. Why wasn't the president of Africa speaking to the House of Hope instead of at Rainbow Push? And it's just a question. It's not an attack. It's not a complaint. It's just a question. Why wasn't the South African president that sat on a plane for 24 hours speaking in front of literally the largest crowd that would gather and in the face of all those American presidents who sat at the left flank? Are we as a community going to always believe? Somebody said he didn't arrive until yesterday. I saw him literally arriving when I was watching the funeral at Rainbow Push at the House of Hope. I got it on my phone. I've been thinking about all this. I'm literally trying to get to a point, and I'm not sure if I'm getting to it, but I'm trying. People gonna always have something to say. They say opinions are like assholes. Everyone got them. But what is our real opinion of each other? And what is the real opinion of our own? Because I don't know that if the guns of this nation, which have always been pitted against us, if they literally took aim at us again, I don't know beyond reaction if we are going to be able to withstand like we say we would, because we don't even know how to love each other on the basic, bare, minimal level. And that is not an opinion. I have facts to prove it. And I watched this service and I wondered, while Reverend words reverberated through my being, what happened to us. And I looked at the disconnect between the generation before mine and the one that I'm in. I literally was sitting there watching this service, and my personal best friend, who happens to be a black man, who is a part of the LGBTQ community, came in the room and said, "Why are you watching that?" And I said, "Because this is the funeral of a civil rights icon. How could you not be watching it?" He said, "Man, turn that shit off. Let's go out to brunch. Do you know how many bitches is outside?" And I looked at him and I said, "How could you even say something like that out your mouth when you know that your best friend is an advocate himself?" But when I looked at that, all I said to myself is, I may not be there at my service, but there are going to be some people who would be ignorant enough to discount a sacrificial life that they benefited from. And I looked at my friend and I said, when you go eat or when you go to brunch, I want you to know this, that if it had not been for a Reverend Jessie Jackson Sr., you might not have even been able to go through the same door, drink off the same cup, or sit at the same tables as your white counterparts. So while you out there looking for bitches, God help me. I may not get it all out. I may not make sense, and I may not have your attention long, but I'm trying to get this out. I said, as a friend, I am offended, but I'm not confused. What happened to us? What happened to us? And I said, God, if you would do me a favor, take that word back out of my vocabulary as it is in reference to women, because I want to give up whatever I have to give up so that we don't lose. Because this funeral was not just a memorial of his legacy, but it was a call for us to figure out, do we want to go further than where we are? And my answer is yes. I'm not going to lie for nobody. I still got that word in my vocabulary. The problem with us is we think that it's a microwave thing. And one of the things that I literally woke up and I was on fire about when I was asking God this is that there is something that I learned a long time ago. I'm in the middle of my greatest love story because God will not give up on me. And God won't let me give up on myself because my heart desires to be found and not lost. You can't get mad at a person that's lost looking around, trying to find directions, not moving fast. You could be mad at a person who got the course and won't take it. But what the problem is that we are mad at each other for being lost because we think that just because you said, I want to get there, that it happens overnight. And that's what I love about God. He never said, don't question him. He said, don't criticize him. We can question God all day. He said, do all thy get and get an understanding. But he said, obedience is better than sacrifice. When I tell you to go and you know I told you to go, that's when you go. But until you know, it's okay to say, God, why, how, when, where, but to say, oh God, I don't believe in you because I got this misfortune. God, I don't trust you because I went through that. God, I don't know that you love me because they did this. God, I don't want to go there because them people going to be there. That's not what God wants. Don't be disobedient in your heart and don't criticize them, because you got to know that all things work together for the good. You got to know that. And what's my point? When I left my church that I pastored for 10 years so that I could go live my life and do whatever I wanted to do, God had enough in him about and for me that he ain't took me out of here yet. And I'm sitting there living my life on the edge, and all of the things that I'm choosing to do with one simple prayer: God, deliver me. And God told me literally 9 years ago, when I was running, I don't know if it was 9, but he told me literally, no, he told me 9 years ago. He said that you're going to do X, Y, and Z. Then I ended up in a car ready to take myself out of here. And at that moment, God told me, I'm going to restore you to a national stage. And then I was like, ain't no way. And then when I literally ran for alderman, the Lord spoke to me through a man, Matthew Stevens. And the Matthew Stevens' word was confirmation to what I already knew. He said, you are going to go higher than the seat that you're currently seeking. And it was in that moment I said, oh, I'm going to lose this election. I lost that election in second place of a 3-man race, but didn't even compare close to the person who was sitting in that seat right now, Alderman Greg Mitchell, who was on the south side of the city of Chicago. I'm going to take my time. I got to get this out. I said, I'm going to lose this election. He said, but God said, the place that I'm taking you to is much higher, but I want some surrender. And ever since I got that word, and I believed in it, it was confirmation to me. I've been trying to figure out how to surrender. What am I doing wrong? I wake up every day and I'm serving people. I'm trying to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I lived my entire life not doing stuff because I wanted to be good enough and never was for people. What is the problem, God? What more do you want from me? I take the attacks. I serve. I go. I answer the call. I suffer in silence while I'm relieving pain for everybody else. What do you want from me? I don't want to be a pastor no more. I don't want to preach no more. I don't want to live bound no more. What do you want from me? But literally here I am, 26 years later. I'm starting to figure out when that surrender comes, because it didn't come when God said it. It came when he was ready to call me to it. And it it took for me to sit down in front of a computer screen looking at a man that I don't even like to speak a word that will reach beyond me and hit my core to make me say, God, deliver me. And it wasn't my first time asking God to deliver me. It was renewing my subscription to the process. And what our problem is that we think that we got to be perfect the moment that we hear something or the moment that somebody is suggesting that this is the right versus the wrong, and not understanding that there is a process and it got to be real. It can't be symbolic. It got to be real. I'm not going to go back to nothing that I genuinely don't believe that I'm supposed to be in or feel that I'm capable of sustaining. Which means what I just said. Don't come back tomorrow saying, oh, Jedediah, you call somebody a bitch. If you hear it, I want you to hear my heart. I want God to drive it out of me that it'll never be able to come back again. Because it's hard dealing with women who will say that you're not supposed to attack or argue or fight with a man. But I know for a fact, as a man, that that's not because we are not with ability to defend ourselves, but that's because when that was created in our culture, it was a culture where women would not be standing in no man's face, provoking him to such actions. And two wrongs don't make a right. Let's be honest here. We in trouble. What happened to us? I know I'm talking right. I just don't know if y'all really gonna be able to hear me, y'all, because there's so much to say. Men should not fight women. Men should not argue with women. Men should not call women out their names. Because women don't sit there and challenge men like they're men. Women make men or boys become men, and they make their vision become reality, and they help them to be able to process the ignorance of being a man. Because guess what? Being a man is hard because you got the weight of delivering, but the woman is the one that is there to make sure you get it done. And what our problem is right now is our women are not putting our men up. We finding every reason to compete with one another, to the point that we don't even know how to stand side by side. The greatest threat to me as a man right now is a woman that don't want me to become a greater man. So I asked myself, why don't I like Reverend Al Sharpton? Because of the rumors. Because we have made that the standard. Just like I remember when Jesse Jackson Sr. showed up in Flint and they told him to leave. I remember when Jesse Jackson Sr. showed up on Michigan Avenue in Chicago and we told him to leave. But there's a reason for that. I didn't show up at that funeral because I had a lot of responsibility, but I knew that the funeral was for us, not for Jesse. And I could not sit in that room with all of these people trying to fight for who is and who isn't significant. Because if I be honest, they would have been afraid of my presence because I'm just like what they were describing Jesse Jackson Sr. to be in the system to them. I have been fighting not a system my entire life, but my own people my entire life, because I've been having to fight Democrats and black leadership and black clergy and black business owners and black politicians as it relates to creating black injustices. And that's because I primarily answer the calls of black people in black spaces. If y'all wanted the truth. If you wanted the truth. And the people who want you to help them won't help themselves. And when they don't got the fanfare that they had, and if they don't got the benefits they were given, you're no longer viable. We don't honor each other. We use each other up. What happened to us? And so a part of me saying, God, deliver me from calling women bitches is me saying, God, forgive me for not loving Reverend Al Sharpton, no matter what nobody say, no matter what nobody did, because he is your child. And I need to be able to hear what Al Sharpton got to say. And that don't mean I got to agree with everything Al Sharpton do, but I'll tell you what I won't do any further. I'll never dishonor him. I have no proof of what people rumors are. I literally had a woman get on a live stream and say, this rumor is about Jedediah, and that's the thing that I was fighting. And I was saying, why would I not fight this TD McNutt situation? Because somebody accused me of this, but I know it's a lie. So why would I allow myself to shrink on a lie? But to see a black woman with no proof, no evidence, no conviction, no nothing, asserted as if it's the truth because somebody said it, don't matter who said it, who ain't never been lied on. Why would I not fight with everything that I got in me? Because I didn't do it and I don't agree with it. I am qualified no matter what nobody thinks. I will not do that to no one else. Now, I did see the report of him dealing with the FBI. But I've said this and I mean it and I ain't got to lie. And I'm not saying this for no pass because I don't care about nobody's opinion. But when the Department of Justice came to the city of Chicago during the Laquan McDonald era so that they can do the consent decree, they sat down with me personally and I gave them insight to the landscape of the city of Chicago and I gave them my advice on what they should put into that document and I started a relationship with them from that moment. And yes, the Department of Justice, which is the federal government of these United States, have given me finances in the course of my advocacy. And we have communicated about things that was going on. Mine in the interest of justice, theirs in the interest of their agenda. But ain't no point ever in my life have I ever been an agent of this United States government. And I would only allow an ignorant person to diminish the power of consulting the Department of Justice to being somebody that's working against the interests of our community, but we ain't defined none. Ain't no interest of our community. What's the policies that we're pushing collectively? What's the economic development that we're building collectively? Where's the educational institutions that we're raising and extracting together collectively? I sat there and I read meticulously the write-up of Pastor Christopher Harris, who stands to be a millionaire at the other end of having a migrant shelter in the city of Chicago. And I thought that it was a wonderful and adequately written perspective. But rules without relationship breeds rebellion. Because I sat in the room with Christopher Harris when we was there with Rahm Emanuel on the other side. And I cussed his ass out. And all the preachers in the room wanted me to be blocked from ever coming in. So I want to know something. We can't challenge our churches doing service time. We can't challenge nobody in the funeral service. We can't challenge nobody at an event. We can't challenge nobody while they're walking down the street. We can't challenge nobody while they're going home. What my problem is just there's a time and a place for everything. But until black leaders create a black space of accountability, don't come at my generation for having a voice. If I showed up in that meeting or at that funeral, I would have had to assert my position. There would have been no seat specifically for me because I make them uncomfortable because I call them out. But you'll stand up there and you will praise a man for going against the grain as if you value the principles of that. What happened to us? You want to know how? You want to know how there are most people in our community that are under the age of 40 years old talking shit about Jesse Jackson and the funeral? It's because those who lived through what he accomplished and those who had that experience and those who've come out of the area, do you know how this happened? Because y'all didn't reach across the aisle to fortify the connection and to teach the history. I have finally, for the first time in my life, look at the speeches of the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. at the DNC. And that's why when I looked at my friend, who I love, say what he said, I would have loved to tell him, with your gay ass, This man gave you validity in his speech when he ran for president and said you are somebody, even when the black church don't want to have one of the toughest conversations that there is to have. And that there are people here who are loving of the same gender and need to discover where they fit in God's plan. And so I used to be very hurt and very mad and very shameful and very sad about the fact that that's a part of my story. But hell, not now. Because guess what? Now I'm going to open up my mouth. And I'm going to tell y'all what's going on while y'all sitting up here with the delusion of what's going on in our community. And y'all got whole men out here with whole families in parks and in bathrooms and in gyms and in cell phones and on apps looking for a snack when you a whole full course meal at home. And some of them only with you because they can't be truthful about who they are. It's time to have the conversation because what happened to us? How you up there preaching the word of God on the pulpit about what's right and wrong, and you know that you got something burning in your drawers that you could never be honest about. The Bible said to be honest. Don't be hot, be or cold. I mean, it said be hot or cold, don't be lukewarm. What happened to us? We didn't get connected and stay connected when we felt ourselves having some level of freedom. And I said it, we over here fighting for individualism and not collectivism. This country is so far from where it needs to be because we're trying to pick a side instead of remember that a house divided against itself cannot stand. This is not a Republican versus Democrat nation. It was supposed to be a differences of opinions that met inside of the negotiating table and discovered what the path would be that's best for the masses and shared ideas, even though they were not always the same. You know why? Because all of us don't have the same path, but we all should have the same dignity. I may not agree with everything that my best friend does, but make no mistake about it, that's my best friend. And I will never be ashamed of that best friend, or my best friend Sabha, who was a Palestinian woman, or my best friend Alicia Spikes, who was actually more like a sister that's a black entrepreneur woman, or my best friend that's Matthew, that's literally a white man that's in the southern states of this country, or my best friend, let me be clear here. They my best of friends, and I got many, and they're diverse. And when the world don't have my back, I got my best friends who do. Or my best friend, pastor, who was Dave Jordan, who I know for a fact would never shun me, even though my methods are not always as understanding as the conventional Christian advocate would be. The second favorite speech that I had to come up there was of the mayor, Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson, he did that thing. Oh, he did that thing. And I had people texting me because I said he was my second favorite speech. Tell me some, that's, you all into symbolism and it don't take much to impress you and he ain't no good and he did this, that, and the third and he don't care about you. He ain't returned your phone call. Now pause before I even park right there. It was Jesse Jackson Jr. that got up there and put that other stuff that I was saying in perfect perspective. He said all these presidents who were up here speaking, who my father was waiting on a phone call from all of them. God, y'all. My father who was spending his life waiting on a phone call back. Woo! Jesus. But y'all want me to sit here. God, I need you to give me the focus. Don't let me get off. But y'all want me to sit here and say, oh, we got to honor them and we got to respect them and we got to value them, which we do. And I agree. But let's tell the truth. While they demanding respect, you just heard his son say they wasn't even giving it. What happened to us? We literally are so uncomfortable with being uncomfortable that's what happened to us. I can loan you my money. Give me the identity of where that person is. If they're on YouTube, block them. And if they're on my Facebook, no, they got to be on YouTube. Block my moms that are on there. Take that out. Take that out of my chat. Now, I sat there and I watched that, and I watched how proud we was to get a picture. And I looked at the content on the conversations that were going on the computer screen. And I was like, God, this is absolutely amazing in every shape, form, and fashion of those words. My second favorite speech would be that of the mayor of the city of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. And then I got all these messages about how I shouldn't be supportive of him. What happened to us that we don't know how to give honor where it's due? Just because I don't agree with you, don't mean that I cannot support you. Just because I don't like you, don't mean that I can't acknowledge when you do something right. We cannot repair or heal because we think that disagreement is a death sentence instead of an obstacle to overcome. And that's why every time a black person makes a mistake, you can look forward to all the Negroes. Dear white man, dear white woman, take your rest. We got our own whip now. And all we need is for one Negro to get out of line. We're going to whip them to death, not even to correction. But we did want to talk about something being done for the culture and dared not let nobody else say nothing about us. He said they don't know my father. And he said that these are the political people who my father waited on a return phone call from. I'm trying my best to get through this. It's just so much. Please hear me through if you can. And I didn't say what I said about Chris Harris to put us against each other. But what I'm saying to Chris Harris is that it read well. But come on now, brother. We're not doing well, and you're a part of that problem as well. And I love you. And I can explain that if y'all remind me at the end of this broadcast if I need to. People who were talking against Brandon Johnson either shared or had political aspirations. They don't want nobody to like him so that he doesn't have an opportunity in his to be a second-term mayor. I didn't say I was voted for that man. I said that it was my second favorite speech. I'm saying that when he got up there, he represented not just the city of Chicago well, but being a black man well, being a Christian man well, being a father well, being an educating orator well, being an organizer in perspective well, putting it out and laying down the foundations, articulating and formulating the sentence structure well, and giving it enough passion that you knew that he believed and knew what he said, with enough inflection in his voice so that it would capture your attention, and enough education for it to stimulate your mind, and enough anointing for it to break something off of you. It was my favorite speech, no matter how I feel about his policies. I even texted him. I said, now you did that one right there. Brandon Johnson, I text him. And guess what? No response. And so what? Back to my regularly scheduled program. My exact words to the mayor of the city of Chicago was, you made me believe in you again today. Now help the community get this right. You are capable. But it's going to take a whole lot more than speech to sustain the way I feel about you in this moment. Jedediah. But I'm not goofy enough not to fight him, to make the difference, to change the administration, to open up the doors, and to do what you say. But because I praised him publicly, I offended people on the other side. I said, he did a good job. It was a great speech. So what? And me saying that I believe in you again is not me saying that I want to give you a second term. It's saying you got an opportunity to earn it because you could represent us well if you just deliver. Put your money, your policies, your resources, and your actions where your mouth is. We're so sick mentally that we don't know how to praise our enemies to no longer be our enemies. And then we be mad when people do stuff against us and we can't change and we can't recover them because we want them to always be opposition because we too busy carrying we too busy carrying the weight of offense. I love y'all. I always have. I've been an hour and I got so much more to say, but I know nobody's going to watch this more than an hour. But I want to end it with this. I want to go to my faith and repeat something that I tried to say in the beginning. God is in control. And God wants us to question him, but not critique him. And we got to be careful to do the job of being his children and not being God. That's how we're going to recover. The reason why let me try my best again to make this make sense. God told me this years ago, and I've been trying to figure it out. Some days I felt real discouraged and down because I was like, man, I can't do it. It ain't working. But what happened to me yesterday while I was watching the funeral is that I realized I'm hurt by my community. That's how I'm able to call women bitches. That's why I'm always fighting back and arguing with motherfuckers, even when I don't have to. I do it for fun. That's why my presentation is I'll punch you in your motherfucking face and march for you later. Because we have become our own worst enemies in a lot of senses. But this ain't nothing specific new to me. This is what happens to anybody who tries to go for making a difference. There's always going to be a hater or an opinion or an opposer. But now when I think about Martin Luther King and Jesse Jackson Sr. and all of these people who gone on, when you realize that when they lived, they didn't have the flowers that we think that they would have had based on how they're treated now. I consider it an honor to be amongst those who were not popular in their day. And then I also went to that service didn't go to that service because I didn't need to. Nobody was going to give me the credence or the credibility to believe that the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. looked me in my face in the height of my controversy and said, I have marched with Martin Luther King. And he had a certain light to him. And he said, Jedediah, you have it. That's what a civil rights icon said to me in my face. Nobody will convince me otherwise. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't high. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't hallucinating or nothing. He said the same light that was in Dr. King. He said that same thing that I saw in his eyes. I see it in your eyes. And every time I showed up in any space, and I remember it clear as day, his chief of staff, I can't remember his name, that bald-headed reverend lady that be with him, what's her name? Jeanette Wilson. All of them. Whenever they would see me come into the room, they would tense up and get uncomfortable. And Reverend Jesse Jackson, whenever he would look at me, I don't care what's going on, he would be like, come here. And he would always hold me. He would always hug me. He would always sit me in front or by him. He would always have me standing there. The truth about that video, when Kim Fox got drugged in the media for standing next to me when I was on the other end of a criminal case, is that I was standing there and Jesse Jackson told them that I was not to be moved. That's how I got in that picture. That's how I got in that thing. They said he can't speak because of the case that's going on, but Jedediah not gonna move. That's what Jesse Jackson did. And I know for a fact that if I was there, I would not be talking about, oh, good to see you, good to see you. It would be, why haven't I seen you? Why y'all placating to the system? When y'all gonna challenge systematic change? When we gonna put an event together to bring our community together? And why y'all sound real good, but when we gonna start working on the upward mobility of the collective and not your category or your group? I'm trying to figure out why we don't got no young speakers. I'm trying to figure out why we ain't got no, that would have been me. I said, let me just go ahead and stay where I'm at. I know what that man said to me. I know what he became to me. And he only became that to me because after I stopped attacking him and started learning of who he really is. Ain't no was. Is. So when God told me that he wanted me to surrender because he had something on the national stage for me that was way higher than the automatic road that I was seeking. The only reason why I was getting ready to run for Congress in the same race that Jesse Jackson Jr. is running in is because I was trying to figure out what that higher role was to be obedient to God because I wanted to make a difference. But after I got involved in the city of Harvey, I tell y'all, it almost obliterated my desire to ever be a politician in life. Because when I found out how evil and conniving and destructive and vindictive a politician could be, even in the female sense, I would never want to sit in a space and have to take that level of abuse or manipulation. When I looked at how people who were critics would complain and just flat out lie, even when they knew the truth, and they would misrepresent what was going on, exaggerate or exacerbate and or hold grudges about stuff that they won't even be honest about their partying. And I knew or saw how the man sitting at the other object of the seat, hold on. My computer just died out. That the man sitting on the other end of that objection, how he could not respond to it. I said, oh, hell no, I could never. When I saw how this man sacrificially traveled from one city to another in hopes of bringing something that nobody else would bring to his community and the abuse that he had to sustain because of it, I said, no, I can't handle it no more. That's not me. I said, oh, hell no. I'm going to just be myself. I'm going to be the crash out activist. But that's almost like the women in the Bible who God told that they would have babies and they went on made one with somebody else because they felt they were getting too old. I'm like, man, I'm getting too old to be doing this. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of this. People getting mad at me. You ain't fighting Napoleon. You ain't fighting this. And you ain't fighting that. But I'm trying to get them to understand Jedediah Brown is tired of fighting. I'm tired of waking up empty. I'm tired of trying to find the resource. I'm tired of getting all the complaints. Even right now to this day, there's a documentary came out of Kiera Coles. I believe that I was so close, but it was my community that was fighting me tooth and nail. Everything that they said in the documentary, I'm sitting there like, I told them, but they didn't want to hear it. I'm sitting there thinking about the Kanika Jenkins fight and how hard we fought, but I had to literally for years, I had to argue about something that everybody saw on the screen. Did you steal the money or not? I literally have to look at the fact that in Dalton, I gave everything that I could. I lost something that meant significance to me, had to be mislabeled and mistreated and mishandled the whole time. I'm tired of fighting. And that's 3 fights that I'm thinking about with the countless others I've been a part of. I'm like, man, I got to find the role. I need to serve before God called me home. Life too short. People leaving here left and right. I'm losing friends. I got to do it. I want to get it over with. I'm sick of it. Somebody I've loved my entire life. Tori, she mad at me because I didn't champion fighting for her child, not understanding I ain't even have the qualifications nor the capacity. I'm talking specifics now. Thinking about Lamont Record and the way he dishonors me. And the reason why I cannot get back alongside him is because he don't have enough in him to apologize for disrespecting my biological mother, who opened up her heart, her bank account, her home, her cars, her organization, everything she had, and treated him like a real son. How could you ever disrespect my mother? I don't care about you dishonoring me, because I opened up my stuff too, and I can forgive you for me, but I can't forgive you for my mama. But then I'm watching you act like I've ever done anything against you. I'm tired of fighting, because he ain't the only one. Love him to life. Never want him to fail. But I could never give him an opportunity until he can tell my mama, because we know what she meant to him. And we know what she did for him. You sorry for ever getting on the screen and dishonoring her in anybody's comments because you found you another mother out here to get alongside. It'll never be okay. But I'm tired of things like that. I'm tired of listening to Pastor Corey Brooks, who happens to be a Republican, fight tooth and nail to bring things to the south side of Chicago that are not even there. I called this man yesterday. He said, man, don't know, ain't no, he said, man, I couldn't, he said, Mama, and I'm sorry, I don't reveal conversations, but he said, man, you know, sometimes I sit out here and I'm doing this walk and I think like, man, my staff ain't even calling to check on me. And I said, man, keep your head up. I ain't called to check on you either, because sometimes we look at our strong as being so strong and fortified and deliverer. We don't even know that to whom much is given was not just to the leader, but it was to the people who had the privilege of having them. A white woman in my organization. I'm in a fight right now that I'm going to win, because I got a new person that came into the leadership of my organization. My organization is multicultural, and it is intended to solve some of the crises that is ailing this nation. And there was a black woman who joined my organization, came into a leadership role. She was speaking out of her own personal experience. And in the course of speaking, she said, you know how these white people do. She was about to say a word that would have offended white people. And then a white woman in my organization. Now all of a sudden, oh my God, I can't be a part of something that allows discrimination. Ain't nobody done nothing. Ain't nobody said nothing. She sent a formal complaint. The same day she sent the complaint, almost 2 days later, she made a Facebook status. I can't be a part of it. But then you still sitting in my stuff. So now I got to figure this out. Are you playing with me? You going to sit in my face and act like all the black women and black men in this organization ain't had your back, ain't brought you money, ain't brought you heaters, ain't treated you like a sister, ain't wrapped their arms around you in love, ain't stood beside you in things that you was going through, prayed with you, talked to you. You gonna let somebody that you don't even know, who new to what we're doing, come in here and you redefine us as a discrimination organization? Take your ass out of here, Karen. And that don't mean that I don't love white people. It don't mean that I don't appreciate everything she's been to us. It don't mean that I don't want us to get better, but don't act like race relationships in America is good. So if somebody says something that is in them, maybe we can reintroduce ourselves and have a better experience. But we're not going to act like you're not going to summarize all black people in this motherfucker like that. So say what you want to say about me in the public, because if I open up my mouth, you're going to sit the fuck down. And I curse because I'm honest about that. I'm so sick of giving people my best only for them to turn around and curse me because they got a moment of discomfort. And you sure as hell ain't going to do that outside of my race because I want us to come together. I'll kick every last one of them out that motherfucker, and I'll work with just black people and ask those who got the right heart to be an ally. Because what we not going to do is act like we don't feel the way we feel. But what we are going to do is face it head on, and we're going to either fix it or we're going to drive it out. But I'm not trying to be in the business of making nobody feel good. What happened to us? And they got a process. If you want to get this fixed, let's fix it together. But if you don't, It was nice knowing you. And then all the other people who want to fall out about it. I'm sitting up here looking at everything that I done, everything that I done been, every call that I done sat on in the middle when the wee out nights of the hour. Ain't never done nothing to them. And you mean to tell me you a part of this and you don't have enough in you to strive and to contend with me through this? Then I'm so glad you motherfucking leaving. Because when I think about the battles that is facing our community and our culture and each other, I need somebody with some fortitude that can stand by and say, when it's uncomfortable, we still rise. I know what I'm saying. I'm spitting in this thing like I'm gonna have to wipe my screen. I'm gonna have to wipe my countertop because guess what? Don't ever in your life. I got all these people, so we just not gonna talk about TD McNutt. We're not gonna talk about Junior. Well, wait a minute. You talking and I've been working. The problem is that you want me to come on here and entertain you and to deal with your itching ears because you're nosy. But when we all get to work, how many of y'all gonna show up in Florida tomorrow with me? If I don't have an update. And if you not, and if you ain't contributed, and if you ain't coming, shut the hell up and wait for one. Let's try your method. Let's wait for one and see what happens. But you're not gonna be putting no pressure on me to make up something because I ain't gonna lie to you. And I ain't nobody's jester. So when God calls you to something, we mess up, not remembering, but 1,000 years is but one day to God. 1,000 years is but one day to God. In other words, if God called you to greatness, don't you dare beat yourself up because you're not great. You live your life with an open heart, and every chance it hits you, when greatness hits you, tell God, I want to get there. God, I want you to correct me. God, I want you to help me. God, I want you to pull me out. Because one thing I can tell y'all, that if being a part of the LGBTQ community is a sin that will cause me to be hell-bound, I got to tell you something that's going to really mess you up. God's still been using me like crazy almost every chance he's gotten because I've been willing to be used. The fact that I did not, that God has still provided my every need according to his riches and his glory. When I talk, there's still an anointing that I carry. When I read the word, I still fall in love with God all over again. Whenever somebody calls me, not only do I step up and I move shit, but I seemingly have the protection of grace and mercy, which is clearly still available to me with my hell bound, in your opinion, LGBTQ self. But this is what I believe. I believe that the first thing God called me to do when I was in all of these years is to know that I don't never have to identify myself by no sexual preference. What I can identify myself with is the fact that I love God. He created me and I'm his son. And my salvation and my deliverance is his job, not mine. So as long as I keep my heart open, he can save me if that's what he's going to do. So the thing that I'm trying to get you to say is that all the years while you feeling bad because you not who people think you ought to be because of what they heard called on your life, that's their problem. And don't you ever make it your problem because you are in a journey. You're in a process. I had Young Leaders Alliance. It had citywide membership. It was moving nationally. Then I had Justice Family. It was national, and I stopped it from going international. And so literally when I ran for alderman, I never knew that years later I would bring up for the culture after going to Dalton. And now I got people joining from across the country. This how I know it's God, because people who left the other organizations are now coming back. So guess what? While I've been going through these years, worry, God, I hope you don't take me out of here without me knowing if I'm doing this right way or not. God, I want to do whatever you call me to do, but I don't know how to do it. God, I want to do it, but I don't know if I'm good enough. God, I want to do it, but I don't know if they're going to hit me. God, I want to do it, but I don't know if I'm qualified. God, I want to do it, but I don't know if I got the resources. And I'm sitting up here worried about it. And I'm concerned, God, please don't take me out. Please, Lord, please don't kill me. If I'm going to go that way, God, I believe you'll get me at the last moment of my last breath. You will save me if you want me to be saved. Only me to find out, here it is. It took for Jesse Jackson's service for God's ultimate plan to take its next step in the phase and effect. For me to now say, God, I want you to deliver me. And it ain't going to happen overnight. It's not the start of my race. I'm in the middle, but it's a checkpoint. And my heart is open. So now I'm sitting up here like, okay, I see people talking smack about me and I ask God to deliver me. So I'm not even going to look at that today. I'm not going to respond to that today. I'm going to laugh at that today. I'm going to move past it today. So God says, I did that. Do you mind doing something that will strengthen me so that I won't give up in the middle of trying to become who you called me to be? So while I'm sitting there watching all of this chaos in my organization, Kiki Wyatt, somebody who I've actually been trying to see, I get a call. You know what? I'm not even going to put none of my business out there. But this is what I want you to get. I want you to get that now 4 celebrities are in communication with me about helping me with the launch of my organization as well as being a part of it. So if you want to leave, I got 2 fingers for you. It's called deuces because I only want around me that understand that where I'm at is not where I'm going to end up. And so now what I'm saying is that as I was moving in Harvey and I'm doing something I never did and trying to do development and people trying to derail it, I'm over here looking at this and I'm saying, God, oh, you mean to tell me that I actually can call millionaires and they'll bring money to a community that ain't nobody brought nothing to forever? So guess what, God, deliver me. Because but look at it. It all is happening at the same time. I'm saying, okay, so maybe I don't want to be a politician. So then my mind said, well, wait a minute. Maybe God saying he was calling me to something higher didn't mean that I had to be a politician. Maybe he wanted me to get back to the promise that he gave me 10 years ago when he said that he was going to put me back on the national stage. And so since I've been through this and my response out of my hurt is to respond to people who want to destroy and diminish me, I had to sit down in a service where my friends were saying, but let's go outside. And I had to hear somebody who I don't even like, for what reason I don't know, say something that reaches down to the recessive places of my heart to say, man, I need to start telling the people around us that we are somebody. And I said, oh, Dr. King had a dream and he said that we are somebody. And then they said this is that person saying it, because I can't remember all the historical figures right now. Let me tell the truth. But I said, okay, God, so what is me? He said, you're going to help people reclaim their crown. So I'm telling that to people, stand up, be a leader. Stop responding to this. Stop. Don't think about it. But how could I do that? I couldn't do none of that unless I went through it myself. You are good enough. It don't matter how you start. It don't matter what they think about you. It don't matter. Do you hear what I'm saying? So now I'm saying, okay, God, that's what you want. That's what you meant by some surrender. There it is. Take it out of my mouth. And it ain't because I'm saying it because somebody told me I couldn't make it if I didn't. Because the truth is I have. Did you hear what I said? People want to tell you that if you don't do this way, you will never get there. You a damn lie. I'm going to get there because that's the promise on my life. And that's why it's confusing you that I'm still walking towards and getting to my destination. Well, they say, well, dang, how is it that Jedediah is getting away with all this? The only thing that some fools could say, he must be a spy. He must be COINTELPRO. He must be an agent undercover for the government. No, I'm a child of God with a date with destiny that was known before I was even formed and fashioned in the womb of my mother. And you can't touch me because the Bible clearly declares concerning my life, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So I might have felt a little uncomfortable, but I wasn't afraid when those gangsters came to tell me, don't challenge Napoleon Harris. My response to God was, okay, cheaters never win, and I know you got me covered. And because they came to me, I'm going to stand and see the day when God calls the cheater to lose. I said what I said. So I don't got to spend my time chasing corruption because I serve the King of Kings. And I'm talking about it from my perspective, but I'm giving it to you for you. People don't even know. I know what they're doing. I got people coming and telling me stuff, and then they go telling somebody else stuff. I got people talking about this is wrong, and then they go over there and tell somebody else that's right. I got people over here telling me this person doing that, and then they over there talking to that person saying all manner of things, and they don't even know. I'm looking at them through the eyes of the natural and through the spirit. But what a leader does is they don't react. I'm trying to figure out the why. Because I got to figure out, are you here as an assignment for me to help deliver? Or are you here as an assignment for me to eradicate because you're going to be the footstool that sends me to my next level? But what I'm not going to do is run from the threat that you are. I'm going to figure out why you're here, because I can only conquer what I confront. But once I conquer it, I always will be able to. I'm still talking about the right stuff. You just got to be able to listen. So here it goes. I'm done. It was me realizing the state of our community, and it's me considering my own ways. That if God gonna use me to do greater, then I got to at least, and here she go right now. So this is Bella, or this is the lady, the white lady. I want to give you an answer before the world. She said, when is September's winning going to get paid out? So let me take a pause. I decided that I was going to give away $500 to people, and they were nominated by the members of my organization. And then what I did say is that you had to be in good standing with my organization to receive that money. That was September of last year. Building a national organization is so hard. I can't explain it, especially when you only require people to give $10 a month, and it's hard to come up with the money to do everything you need to do on the national stage. And so what people don't understand is that there has to be investment. There's a lot of processes. So you got to balance all of that. So now this is what I want to say to you, whoever you are connected to Bella, if you heard somebody who supported. I don't have a debt. Okay, somebody said that ain't me. Okay, so now we go. Oh, she said that ain't her. So me and you got a problem, but we can deal with it if you want to. And I told you that when I wrote that in the thing. But ain't nobody getting a damn thing out of this well unless they're in good standing with this well, or if I believe that it should happen because of the simple fact that I am giving it. It ain't a debt. It ain't required. It's an expectation that I set. And I'm going to give my pearl to the people who deserve it. So if me and Bella got an issue, if we resolve the issue, if we come out of it and we're standing, then Bella going to get the best of me. And you, whoever you are, the same. But I don't owe nobody a damn thing. And I'm going to do it according to how I feel this house going to be led. Now, let me be clear about that. I'm going to say it publicly. So if you hear, oh, Jedediah said he was going to pay out something to something, it's going to be because I choose to. And ain't nobody going to drive me because I'm the one fighting. And let's be clear, the resource came out of something that I was doing. And I'm the one giving it. Because I could have took that money and paid my damn bills with it. Because I'm the one on the screen raising the resource to do it. And it wasn't because I asked for donations. It's because people paid into my program and I allotted the resource to that. And so I'll be clear, since you want to have a public conversation, I'm trying to be through here, but I told you in that chat, we can talk. But since you want to be public about it, let me be very clear about this. This ain't got nothing to do with your daughter either. What it is really simply this. My members could nominate somebody that we would bless. The person shouldn't even know about it. They didn't even know that it was coming. And guess what? It was supposed to be an orchestrated surprise for them. And if the person who nominated them was not in good standing, then the nominee are not qualified to receive anything. It ain't about the who, it's about the what the system or the program said. Now take it to the board. Now, moving forward. I'm not playing with nobody today. The truth is hard. And I lost about a good 10 members behind this. I would say that that's good amount of exchange. And they can go where they want to go. We're not hurting over here. Not playing. People want leader to encourage, to make them feel good, to inspire, but they don't want them to correct. I'm not that guy. And I can speak about this stuff in fullness. You want to talk about wild, but did you not acknowledge not one part of what I said about all of the black women who had your back? And that woman didn't even say nothing to call your name, and she didn't even say the word. Wow. And you made a whole damn spectacle and debacle about something that we were creating a solution for. Wow. Now moving forward, we have got to get to the point of telling the truth and acknowledging that what happened to us is that we have stopped loving ourselves and each other the way we're supposed to. And if it take my entire life, God gonna deliver me to get me to where He want me to go because I want it. And I am valuable and useful in the assignment that God put on my life in the day that I'm living in. And don't throw me away, just like I won't throw you away if our desire is for it to be done and get done properly and correctly. And with that being said, God will call you in your imperfect state. But God got to take you through the process. And that could be 10, 20 years. But make no mistake, God is no shorter than His word. If He said it, He will perform it. He's going to do it. And it don't happen when you want to. It happens when He's ready for it to. And He got to make it real inside of you. I am not perfect, but I am pressing to do what God called for me to do. And I want to get better. And I want to be less hurt. And I even want to be whatever it is. I want to be all of that. But I want to be very clear here. We got to start being long suffering with each other. And we got to start helping each other get to where we need to be. And disagreement and fallout don't mean destruction. It don't mean it has to be the end. Me and Mr. Price had a small moment of disagreement, but I love that man with my whole heart. Me and him have talked, and we got an understanding about the post that he put up and the decisions that he made. And me and him are personally okay. And we're going to come online, I think maybe today or tomorrow, and we're going to talk this thing out so that people can understand the process of how we got to the point where somebody who I've had the back of my entire life and me ended up in a position where we would have been pitted against each other. And all of the people that called him and all of the people that called me, hoping that this was the moment when they can get two black men to be fully at odds, I wanted to give you bad news. It's not going to happen. We now know the things that we didn't know and understand, and we're working through it, and we're going to talk about it in the public, and I'm going to show y'all how two black men could be of a difference of opinion and still strive and be black men. And maybe me and Bella, if God willing, we'll have that conversation that I asked for 4 times, and we'll talk about this thing in totality. We'll let the process go the way that it needs to go, and maybe I'll show y'all that a black man and a white woman who definitely are at odds because of how we both feel each other did, if we can overcome it and then be able to present a solution based. That's how you then discover policy. That's how you then conquer it and confront it. And that's how you take the formula to the nation, because this nation is fucked up. All we know how to do is disagree. We don't know how to heal. And I'm here for it. And so I say this even as I tag John Hanna in the Facebook post. You, sir, have hurt me. And you hurt me because at one time you were a leader of mine. But the way that I saw you handle me at my lowest moment, because of how it compared to your ambition and the size and the effect of your ministry, is something that is my truth, that I would love to be able to see if it could be resolved. Because you can preach, pray, and praise all day. But if you can't, when your brother is overtaken with a fault, restore such a one, then that's a sounding brass and a tinkling cymbal. Because I'm gifted, but I also have gotten head from the same gender. It don't mean that you're perfect because God used you, and it don't mean that God can't use you because you're not perfect. That's the point. And we all need to stop putting people on pedestals, and we need to stop being fake about what's really going on. Black people, we are not well. Black people, we are not fortified. And Black people, we are not building the way that we should. And I want to end my statement with this. I've watched every community assert what it demands. It is time for us to get out of disagreement and get into what we demand. And that's why, if it never happens while I'm alive, I don't care who it upsets. I'm in the fight for Black repair, Black reparations. And I also want to be clear here. I don't think that Blacks deserve a privilege. I just believe that Blacks, or even, we don't deserve a privilege, but we definitely deserve a place at the table and equality. And the reason why white people don't intimidate me is because my Black to me is beautiful. So if you get mad as a white person because the world is celebrating a Black man who fought for civil rights and you want to reduce him to a race beta when you got all kinds of people acknowledging him, I want to tell you something with your scary ass. If you start loving yourself a little bit more, you wouldn't find time to come into a space that you don't even want to be in to be disrespectful. Because if you was busy with your life, building in your life, loving in your life, living in your truth, then you wouldn't even have time to be negative. Because one thing that I've learned since I've literally been trying to do a multi-million-dollar project, I didn't start it by researching other people who do a multi-million-dollar project to figure out how much I don't like them. I'm reaching out to them to figure out, how do you do it? Can you teach me how this is going? Damn, he got the contract and I didn't. Well, let me go somewhere else where we'll be able to get it for myself. The fact that it has 16 funerals for him is crazy. No, Kyle. The fact that it's only 16, that's what's crazy. The fact that there was room at the funeral is crazy. This man, while he was alive, touched nations. After he get done with his American tour, maybe they can have memorials over there in Africa, because there are people who he really impacted. And if they can afford it, and if they got the time to do it, I'm just going to go to the one that I'm able to go to. But I ain't going to hate on that man's shine. If they hold another funeral, I ain't got to watch it. But the fact, and I don't know if you Black or not, but if you Black, saying that there's too many funerals, I think you're missing the point. Because when we die, people typically just move on. Unless you was somebody and help somebody keep their hope alive. So I don't want next. I don't want next. But I do want to do what God called me to do. So if I've offended you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, let's get this right. And those that are in leadership in Chicago, I want us to heal, come together, fix these issues, and hopefully the words of Reverend Al Sharpton can be returned to sender as no longer valid. Because now we need to speak to everybody. We are somebody. And that dream hasn't been realized yet that Dr. King spoke of. And I love to add this because they sure love to pick and choose. I want to do it by any means necessary. I hope I said something that added value to your life. I want the public to also know that I'm going to reach out to Bella and I'm going to try to figure this out. But I'm not begging, I'm not pumping, I'm not priming, and I will not dilute. I'm only going to win. God bless you.
Yo, can I get in on this? I want another one, two. 1, 2. Oh, you thought it was through. This was just one assignment, boo. Judge checking with God, getting next instructions. You need an advocate, reach out, he might be coming.
This young black king needs no introduction. When he shows up, haters hate seeing him coming.
And no, he's not Malcolm, he's not Martin either. He got his own style.
Ja-da-da-ya, we see ya. This crew, they not looking for the credit. Advocates on the move. This crew, shifting the atmosphere. Advocates on the move.
And when he comes through, you know they coming too. Hey yo, INA, where you at? What it do? They got receipts, they got them files. They gon' investigate an advocate, holding it down.
And when it comes to intel, you know they showing out. You're smiling in Jed's face.
Hold up, check that file. Don't run up on them either, they always in the crowd. INA got his back, you don't know when they around.
This crew, they not looking for the credit. Advocates on the move. This crew, shifting the atmosphere. Advocates on the move.
And then there's Jed's mother, you know she gon' speak. She praying for the people, prophesying what she see.
Jed, God got you covered, he's holding you down. He's showing you his favor, his mercy, his power.
So always stay humble, give God your best. Remember you're a man, ain't no S on your chest. You know where help comes from when you're up or you're down. That crew runs deep, keep the real ones around.
This crew, they not looking for the credit. Advocates on the move. This crew, shifting the atmosphere. Advocates on the move.